because I can't do it. So I just hope for the best.
What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Can't do the statistics and stuff. Just gotta hope. Gotta go off of vibes. How's everybody doing? Welcome on in. Happy Tuesday. Getting some paints out to work on stuff. Resident X Girly, how are you doing? That was fun. The Resident Evil game was a good time. Despite how long it took to set up, which, like, there's lots of components, I get that. Had a great time. Send help. I don't know if I've heard of that. How was it? Yeah. Yeah, no worries. No worries. What is send help? I don't think I know what that is. It sounds like a horror movie. Is it hilarious? Okay, okay. Sounds like a horror movie. But apparently it's not. Was essentially it's about a woman who's underappreciated who works at a company with a bunch of men. Okay, okay. Welcome on in, everybody. How's it going? Thanks for being here, hanging out. We're just working on a project for Golden Demon here at Adepticon. Painting a mini. I almost want to completely start over on this gray. So I'm not sure where I want to go with this gray. Like on one hand I want it to look metallic, but on the other hand I don't know. Seems like a lot. Oh, okay. Interesting. So she knows what she's doing in a survival situation. That is important when your plane crashes. Ooh! Wow! What a way to spend Super Bowl Sunday. Good Lord. I am so sorry. Torn rotator cuff? Oh man, that was... Did you fall down the stairs? Bang peeking a torn rotator. Oh man. Seems like a heck of a drop. Don't have stairs, slid down the hallway. Oh man. I'm sorry. That sucks. Yeah, I wasn't sure if your new place had stairs or not. I couldn't. You said it was new, so I'm assuming it's not the same place that I was at before. But I could be wrong. I think we played Battlestar at the last place. I don't know if it's the same place or not. Oh, it is? Okay, okay. Oh, that sucks. I'm sorry. So for those of you who may be curious, what I'm trying to work on this is make this look non-metallic metal. Problem is, it's neutral gray. I didn't really want to use blue gray this time, and not a big fan of how blue gray or regular, just like neutral grays, lay down, and I'm not very confident in getting the optical illusion for non-metallic metal going in just normal grays. I typically like having some kind of color in there, but it's looking great. Thanks, Jakey. Appreciate that. Hey, what's up, Sev? How are you doing? Hope you're doing well. A few things that can be done to help this pop as a metallic. Strengthen the edge highlights on some of these edges here, because that is important, because light is going to catch on these edges and reflect. That's one of the things that sets up the optical illusion of a metallic surface. So that is important. Otherwise, otherwise it'll just look like stone. It won't look metallic because the eye and the brain is expecting light to bounce off of a metallic surface in a certain way, and that's how it identifies it as metallic. So if you don't lean into that optical illusion and feed the human eye what it's expecting for a metallic surface, it's not going to appear to be metallic. So one of those things is light reflecting off of these sharp geometric changes in the surfaces. That's why I'm doing edge highlights here, just to start establishing those. Let's see. It is, but if you get all the fixes to make your Mississippi Pass Road, this looks great. Awesome. Very cool. How you doing? I'm doing well. I'm doing well, Jakey. Tricks you got for your first Gunpla. Oh, that's exciting. Very cool. I hope you have fun with that. I know a lot of people that are super into Gunpla. That's awesome. That's super cool, Chicks. I hope you have a blast with that. This looks amazing. Hope I can paint this well someday. Thank you, Geg. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's a lot of practice and a lot of just putting a lot of time into practice, but then also sitting down with people and say, okay, where can I improve? What is lacking on this for the last thing I did? And then, you know, it's continually trying to push yourself to be better and better and better and figure out, okay, because at some point you've got the skill and it's the composition that's holding you back. So maybe you're not pushing the highlights far enough. You know how to put in highlights and you know how to blend. So it's not a skill thing. You know, it's not a technique thing. It becomes I'm just not pushing this far enough because I don't realize that it needs to be brighter or it needs to be darker. So it's not just the skill. It's also learning to look at the piece, whether it's a miniature or a Gunpla or even just a canvas piece, and say, what is it missing? What is preventing this from looking as good as it possibly can? And that's something I'm struggling with a lot, is learning to look at that and identifying, when does something need to be intensified. So that's why I'm working on this so much. But you can absolutely go. You can absolutely get there. Let's see. I went to Michael's with my mom the other day, and they were on sale. She had 30% off. Oh, nice. Oh, that's fantastic. Gold details around the armor look perfect. Thank you. I appreciate that. Appreciate that a lot. That's super exciting, Trix. Man, I hope you have a good time with that. Got a good deal on a cool gunpla. Have you started working on it yet? No rush or anything. Just like within Wargaming, Gunpla and scale model builders also have their own piles of opportunity, their own sets of backlog. So no worries if you do already. That's okay. But getting your first in there, that's got to be exciting. You are right now? Wonderful. Girls get to see their friends Sunday and they're making Valentine's. Awesome. Valentine cards. 1 part per day after work until I get it all together. That's a great idea. Yeah, just one bit at a time. Take your time. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy the building process and the learning process there. And when it's done, then you can look back at it and say, I built that. I put that together. That was me. That'll be very satisfying. Work some orange in here for the ground, so it's reflecting some color off of the Martian type surface. A little bit of this orange in. Looking at my bubble exorcist. Well, I was before I lost the ability to use my art. Yeah, that's understandable. Wanting to do Gunpla for a while, but it's so expensive. Yeah, it is. It is. Which is why, taking, doing one part at a time and taking your time and savoring what you've got and savoring that build time, that's a really good idea, because it's just gonna, it's gonna allow you to enjoy that expensive kit for as long as you can before, it's completed. Don't push it so long that you never complete it, right? Like, you want it to be done. You want progress, to feel like you're making progress every now and then, because otherwise you'll get a different thing. You'll just like, oh, this is taking forever. I don't really want to do this anymore. So you can get kind of burnt out if you take too long, but savor as much as you can of that process, because you're right, they are expensive. That is very, very true. Find that balance where you're like, okay, I'm having a good time, but also I'm making enough progress that I'm not going to get discouraged, but I'm also having, I'm also really enjoying the building process, and that's important. Finding that balance. That's true for any hobby, whether it's Gunpla or whether it's Warhammer or anything else you're doing. You know, you want to feel like you're making progress. You want to set yourself up for those feelings of winning. Like, yeah, I am moving forward. I am winning in making progress. That's important. Should I base coat everything before I do a wash? Generally, yes. You base coat with your normal, just the colors that you want, your base colors, and then you wash, and then you wait for that to dry, and then you come in and start your highlighting if you're going to highlight. Washing before you do your base colors is gonna be a lot more difficult, because if you've primed your mini and then you wash it, well, the wash isn't gonna do anything because you're gonna be painting over that. So you wanna do your base coats so you get the majority of your painting done, or the majority of the area being painted. Then wash it, let that dry, and then you come in and do the highlights, because highlights are gonna be much smaller. So yeah. I hope that answers your question. I think I understood your question, but if I misunderstood, let me know. So I wanna be able to answer your question to your satisfaction if I can. Doing some Death Guard, primed Death Guard green. I should do details on the highlight step. Yeah, generally. And then it really depends on, you know, as you get better and as you practice, what's gonna fit best for you. So you may discover that, yeah, you know, maybe I'll paint a couple of the details a little bit sooner than the very end, and I'll let the wash do some work there. You know, that's a perfectly legitimate option as well. But generally, the things like most of the details, especially those are towards the end, because they're the details that are on the outermost part of the model, right? So if they're on the outermost part, should generally be painted later. If you're painting from the inside out, I prefer to paint from the inside out if I can, or at least when I'm starting. I may go back and later and do some details in a different order, but generally painting from the inside out gets you the most bang for your buck, in my experience. Is this a space dwarf? Yes, this is a space dwarf. It is part of the Leagues of Votann for Warhammer 40,000. And yes, this is Wrath of the Ancestors, or it's a conversion based on Wrath of the Ancestors. The original Wrath of the Ancestors model it's not one of the Ironkin, so it's not one of the AI dwarves. It's only got options for like a biological Votann, like an actual, like one of the dwarven clone people. But the Leagues of Votann have AI citizens called Ironkin, and they are considered to be just as much part of the Leagues of Votann as any of the biological dwarves are. So I thought it would be cool to paint this Wrath of the Ancestors model as an Ironkin, just to kind of communicate the idea that you may not have like actual biological ancestors, but he's just as much part of the Votann and part of that lineage as any of the others. Just thought that would be a cool little subtle message. Not trying to be super in your face about it or anything, but like, hey, the Votann can, you know, to them an ancestor could be an Ironkin as well, and that's just putting it in contrast to the Imperium, whereas Ironkin would be seen as abominable intelligences to be killed on sight. Ironkin, do you need more models? They did get some more models, which is cool. Like they did get a few more. I think a large percentage of the latest release for the Votan were some Ironkin models. Didn't even realize the dome was there. It just looked empty. Yeah, it's I haven't painted the dome yet. Yeah, I haven't started working on the dome yet. I had the dome painted last year, and I wasn't a fan of the light placement, so I painted it black. I painted it over in black, and we're gonna start again. Gonna hopefully get a better light placement this time. Yeah, I submitted this for a Golden Demon last year, and I got a notable pen, which is like, it's basically, hey, the judges took a look at this and they liked what they saw. It wasn't anything close to competition winning, but they liked what they saw, and there's potential here, which was very encouraging. And so I thought I would just work on this a bit this year before the next Golden Demon at Adepticon and try to improve it, which I have, and then see what it does. I'd like to get notable again if I can, and if I got higher than that, which I don't think I will, but if I got higher than that, that would be pretty cool too. But I'd like to at least maintain the same, and then the main thing I want to do is have it there to talk to my painting buddies who do things like win Golden Demons. Not all of them, but a couple of them have Golden Demons and Silver Demons and things like that, and quite a few enter into other competitions. So I'll have this with me to say, hey, this is what I did this year. Where do I need to go now? And that's the idea. I'm excited to see it finished. I have 2k points of Votan to assemble and paint. Nice. That's awesome. Finally got my Hecaton Land Fortress. It's been out of stock for months, then it's out in customs for a damn month. Wow. Is that the resin? The big resin crawler? That thing looks very intimidating in terms of like building it. It's the Sagittarian steroids. Okay, got it. Yeah, they've got some pretty cool models. Big fan of the Votan models. I don't play 40k anymore, and I haven't for the last few editions, just because I'm just not super interested in playing. But keeping a close eye on all the models and all the releases, and man, there's some nice ones out there. I was playing Warcry, but I'm worried that Games Workshop is killing that game, since it's almost entirely online. You can't buy things for it anymore unless you buy online, and I don't think there's any new releases for it. I don't think they handled that terribly well, but oh well. Did play some Necromunda. Really been enjoying Necromunda. I've got most of the dwarves, most of the squat models for Necromunda, like the new ones. And I think that's a gang that I want to put together next. So I have most of their models, and they're just more dwarves, but they're a little bit more Imperial dwarves than non-Imperial dwarves, because they've been on Necromunda for like 10,000 years. They've been on Necromunda for a very long time, so they're not part of the Votan. Big fan of their lore, the sheer fact that they don't discriminate. As long as you respect them, they will trade, and as long as you don't interfere with their mining. Yeah, the problem is, according to like some of the early lore, if you're on a planet and it has the ore that they want, they don't care about your property rights. They'll try and, like, to avoid a fight, they'll try and, like, negotiate, but they're not above attacking you to be able to mine the stuff on your planet if you've got something they want. Like, nope, we need this and we're gonna take it. So they're kind of like the Tau in that sense of, like, you can join the greater good or we can kill you. It's kind of where we are right now. But I do respect that they at least try to be civil, because that's just good business. Got my first ever patrol, AdMech. Any advice, or should I start with airbrush? Do you have an airbrush, Goober? If you don't have an airbrush, I wouldn't buy an airbrush for this right now. Yeah, if you've got an airbrush, then I would use the airbrush to do things like prime the models, base coat them with your main color, and then use the regular brush for moving forward from there. But if you don't have an airbrush, don't buy an airbrush just for this. Use rattle can. Make sure you actually like painting and you actually like the game. Because if you just got your first combat patrol, I'm assuming you're brand new to the game. Don't spend, money on an airbrush until you're sure that, it's going to be a decent investment of your time and money. Because the airbrushes are cheaper now than they have been in the past, but they're still not necessarily cheap. You'll spend about as much on an airbrush as you spent on the combat patrol, easy. If you take the airbrush and the compressor into account, it's going to be at least that amount of money. You do? Yes, you have one already. So okay, yeah. In that case, if you've got one already, then I use my airbrush for priming, and then oftentimes I'll use it for like vehicles and base coats and things like that. But I personally tend to hand paint and use a manual brush for most of my stuff. Like this is all manually painted, not airbrush painted. There's absolutely a place for airbrush use in the hobby, 100%. You just kind of have to decide how you want to approach things. I think anytime you use airbrush, you also need to be using your hand brush in there, because a regular airbrush by itself is going to end up looking very flat, whereas doing this with a combination allows you the speed and ease of use of an airbrush to get things like really clean blends and things like that, and speed, but it's also very easy to end up with a very flat looking model. So do your airbrush to start out with, and then do your details and other stuff with a hand brush, and you'll get best of both worlds in that case. Yeah, light brush strokes on armor make it look better anyway. Yeah, because exactly, it makes it look more in a battle tested. It gives it a more realistic texture. It doesn't look flat anymore, whereas an airbrush just by itself will make an armor panel look very flat and uninteresting. Some texture from hand brushing, for brush strokes, things like that, even just a teeny bit, really helps the model look more alive. So I think it sounds like you're in a pretty good spot. The AdMech is definitely a good thing to start with. Yeah, do as much of your work as you can with an airbrush, and then come in with your hand brush and, you know, get those last little details, those really delicate highlights that an airbrush just is not going to get into very easily. It's very important. Almost exclusively prime with a rattle can, never had an issue. Yeah, that's fine. That is A-okay. And when I'm working with like large groups of models, like if I'm prepping with a large group of models for a class or an army, then yeah, I'll use a rattle can. Absolutely, because it's just going to be faster and more efficient. But if I'm doing like a single model, like if I was going to just work on this one chaplain, then I'm just going to airbrush him. Or if I was working on like this bust, I just airbrush her. Next, another bust that I'm working on, that I'm prepping, is this dude, this Owl Knight. Oh, he'll be airbrushed. He'll be airbrushed, and just need to keep working on the plinth. I've been sanding and filling this and wet sanding it to try and get it mirror as close to mirror smooth as I'm able to. But it's just going to take a few more rounds. Do you like Warhammer Fantasy? I do like Warhammer Fantasy. I don't have a ton of Warhammer Fantasy, like right off the bat, just because it's not what I'm focusing on right now. But I've got like the vampire count, vampire court. So there's a bunch of vampires. I painted these for Cursed City. This is one of the vampires from Warhammer Quest Cursed City. And then there's this ogre who's one of the player characters for Cursed City. Let's see, got this dwarf. Did him and everything in this that I did all these in non-metallic metal. And so he's got 3 different types of non-metallic metal on him, because I was learning non-metallic. Then we got Gorslav. I believe that's what his name was. He's kind of the dude who raises the zombies in Cursed City. He's a lot of fun. So yeah, I've got some fantasy models, some Warhammer Fantasy models. I've got some Age of Sigmar models as well. So it's not all sci-fi. Though I think the models that I have the least of are modern or near future models. I don't have a ton that could fit into the modern era or into even the near future era. You're doing some Nurgle right now? Nice. Yeah, I did get the Darkwater box. I need to carve out some time to sit down, and we'll be painting most of the Darkwater box on stream. That'll probably happen after Adepticon. What was your first ever army? First ever army. Juan, I see your question. Give me just a second. We'll get right to it. Goober Juice. My first ever army was... I never got to play with it, but it was Imperial Space Marines. It was regular Space Marines. I painted them yellow with blue trim, but I never got to play with them. I was just painting, and this was back when I was like 15 years old, long time ago. My first army that I played with was Chaos Space Marines back in 5th edition, and I focused on Tzeentch. Okay, need help. First time painting. I messed up painting my Dark Angels. What do I do? I need more information. What happened? Like what got messed up? Just finished assembling the same model. Love me some Votan. Yeah. Votan are nice. This is a great model. I really like the pose. So Juan, what happened? What do you mean you messed up your models? Because generally speaking, if you're just painting, there's no way to like actually unrecoverably damage your models unless you were physically damaging the model.
Nor is he early. He arrives
precisely what he means to. Unexpected painting. What's up? How's it going? Thank you so much for the raid. How's it going? Welcome on in. How was your stream? What'd you work on? Good to see you. Welcome on in, everybody. My name is Useless Wizard. We are working on a Golden Demon project for Adepticon. I did submit this last year for Golden Demon. I got a notable pin, so it's like the lowest level of pin, which is awesome. So we're refining this. We're working on it and trying to make it better so we get the same pin again, or maybe move up a little bit to maybe something a little bit higher. We'll see. But yeah, we're working on improving this. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. You may hear something in the background. That is my fireplace, because we are here in my study here in the Great Library. I was a teacher at the Wizard School of Magic, but I'm a useless wizard, so they fired me and sent me down here to the Great Library, where I can't get into too much trouble. But my job is to keep students and visitors like yourselves company, and hopefully prevent you from hurting yourself here in the library. It is a magical library, after all. There are weird things. But yeah, we just sit here, hang out, paint minis, talk about all kinds of weird and nerdy things. So welcome on in. Grab yourself a chair, curl up next to the fire, whatever you want. Hey Pikmin, how are you doing? Beautiful Votan scheme. Thank you so much, Vanessa Miniatures. I very much appreciate that. You have far more patience than I working on model for 2 years. Yeah, yeah, it's patience that's just developed, because that's the only way I can get this model up to this level, is just putting in the time. And that's the thing that I'm discovering, is in order to get a model high up right now, with my skill and my understanding of light and my ability to manipulate paint, I have to spend a lot of time on it. I'm not a really fast. I can't paint to a high level very quickly. So that's just kind of the nature of the beast. But you know, it's how we get better. The first model that I ever spent like 50 hours on, it still looks pretty good. But there's definitely things that could have been improved, and I could have done a better job now. But that's kind of the idea, right? It's like, yeah, that's a model I painted a few years ago. I am better at painting now. But I still spent like 50 hours on it. Let's see. I want to make sure I didn't miss anything. Good evening. Furnish the first and second coats, went in for the dark green, shaky hands, and paint went everywhere. Okay, so Juan, at this point, you should be good. You just go back in with your other colors of paint, and you just need to paint that over again. I can't do it on this model, but if I was working on this model, right, and I was working on the blue here, and I've already finished all the green and stuff here, if I was working on the blue and I got blue all over this, well, it's not the end of the world. I just have to come back in and repaint all this green. So you can go back and repaint stuff. That's the nice thing about painting miniatures, that you can just go back. You can step back, and yeah, it means you're going to spend the time. You're going to have to spend that time again fixing it, but it's fixable. And now, if it's just completely lost for whatever reason, then you can give the miniature a bath and 90+% isopropyl alcohol, or simple green, or LA's totally awesome, or if you're over in the UK, Dettol. Give it a bath for 24 hours in that, and take a soft old used toothbrush to it and strip the paint off and start over. So you may have lost time, but you're not actually like failing. This is a chance to learn how to recover, and that is something you absolutely have to do. There are many times where I messed up on painting this model, and I had to go back and repaint areas because I messed up on something else, and that's just part of painting. Will the color bleed through? Will it show? Not if you give it enough. Not if you give it enough layers. No, you're fine. Now, Juan, are you using contrast paints, or are you using base and layer paints? And Antonio Garcia, Mad Donna Yolante. What about Mad Donna? I mean, that's a Necromunda character in the books, but what's the question? Base and layer. Okay, yeah. Then, yeah, you just paint over it. Yeah, then just paint over it. It might take a couple of layers, but you just paint back over it. You're fine. Acrylic paints are translucent, but if you just do enough layers of them, then thin each layer out with that, which will make it more translucent, but it won't fill in details as much, and you just go back over, let it fully dry, let every layer fully dry, and then do the next layer on top of that. Let's see. Do I have a decent example? Not at the moment. I don't at the moment. No, I don't have a decent example at the moment. I would just take some red and splash it all over this, and then show you how I fix it, but I'm not doing that to a Golden Demon entry. I don't want to waste that time. Once I get about 30 hours on a model, I want to move on. That's totally understandable, pun expected. That's totally understandable. Yeah, no, that's totally understandable, and I've definitely gotten there on a couple of models of just like, oh my god, I'm so done working on this, and then you just set it down and you go to something else, and then maybe later you come back to this. But one of the things that I'm learning about painting, competition painting, is when people say that it's a slog to paint for Golden Demon and other painting competitions, and you will start to hate the model and everything. They're not lying. They're not lying. Like, if you're painting a model and it's for gaming and you get sick of it, yeah, stop. But if you are painting for a competition and you get sick of a model, you may not have the option to stop. You may be like, look, I have to keep going because I want to get this finished. So I'll take a break or something, but you may not get the option to stop if you want to submit. Now, if you just stop and you're like, I'm fine if I don't submit this here, and then that's different. But if you want to submit this here, if you want to submit something to a painting competition and you're sick of painting it, well, that is a choice you get to make. And there's definitely times where I've been like, yeah, I'm not gonna submit this, so I'm just gonna stop, because I don't see myself getting this thing anywhere close to where I need it to be in order to submit. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with just saying, yeah, I'm gonna stop because this isn't gonna get in. But if you really want to get something in, if you really want to submit something for a competition, there is a time where you're just gonna have to suck it up and just like, I don't like painting this model, and just keep going, because you got to get it done. But if you never paint for that, then that's okay. You don't have to do that for gaming models. I've stopped with so many gaming models and said, okay, I'm close enough. I'm close enough. I'm not painting this anymore. I'm done. Yep, that happens all the time, and it's A-okay. Finished, not perfect. Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's how I generally feel, even for competition. I'm okay with not meddling. Yeah, that's fine. I'm like Pon. I did competition just to show I could, but I'm too impatient to send tens of hours of perfect detailing. I totally understand that, 100%. And I've not, you know, I'm trying to get to that point to where, you know, I can submit with confidence and everything, but I'm not quite there, so I'm still pushing myself. I haven't made my point yet, or I haven't reached the point where, like, yeah, I'm satisfied. I did what I said I was going to do, and now I'm done. I haven't gotten to that point yet. I will, and then at that point, then I'll just, like, I'm just going to paint for me. I'm going to paint it to the level I want to paint it, and leave it be after that. I'm not going to go any farther. I just haven't reached that point yet. I haven't made my stamp. I haven't made my mark yet. Ah! I still hunger. What a few local competitions years ago, but nothing good enough for real competitions. I hear you. That's okay. Local competitions are awesome. Nothing wrong with winning those. Those are. If nothing else, it's an ego boost, and hopefully, maybe it'll encourage people around you to also push themselves. And it's like, oh, there are people that paint a lot better than this. Okay, well, let's up our own game. You know, that's my hope. If I enter into a local competition, I'm not necessarily trying to win. I just want to say, I want to encourage other people. It's like, hey, let's up our game. Because I know lots of really good painters. You know, I've been fortunate enough to meet those people and befriend some of them, like Sinjin. Sinjin's an incredibly good painter. I've met him in person, and I've met plenty of others in person too. And you know, they are much better painters than I am. But I take that as encouragement of like, okay, I've got farther to go. Keep on working at it, and that's why I do some of the local competitions too. So I'm not trying to win. I'm just trying to like, hey, there's a whole nother level that people can work towards. Let's see what we can do to push it that way. If they want to. No one should do competition painting if they don't want to. Ever. It is, like I said, it can be a drag. It can be a slog. I have a vision of the piece, and I just want just paint to get that picture. Once I'm there, I stop. Yeah, I wish I could do that, because I don't have a mental image or a very clear mental image of a finished piece. Like, I'll have a general idea of what it might look like, and I have maybe a structural idea of what it could look like, but I don't have a clear mental image of what the finished product looks like, so I don't know when to stop. And I often don't know when to stop, and I don't know what is missing oftentimes. So that's something I'm having to figure out how to improve is my ability to like to either plan or do mock-ups, or you know, I don't know, mood board or whatever you want to call it. This is kind of what I'm going for. That way I know when to stop. But I don't know when to stop because I don't have that mental image in my head of this is what the finished product looks like. I don't have that. That's been something that's been difficult for me. It's a good learning experience, but it definitely means that it's hard to self-examine and self-criticize of like, I could do this better, I could do this better, is because I look at it and it's like, well, this is where it is. I don't know what the finished product would look like, what makes this look better. So that's why I talk to a lot of people a lot. That's why I talk to a lot of people and like try to get, you know, some kind of feedback from at certain points. I'm not quite there. I'm almost where I'm looking for feedback for this. I'm almost there. But I have to do that from other people. Is like, what do you think? Because I can't see it. I don't know. It's definitely something that makes it much more difficult for me. I wish I could see a clear image of what it looks like. You like the blending I did on these? Thank you. Games Workshop recommend the opposite to store owners. Wait, what? They say the minis should be just be passable as not too high a bar. Yeah, and that's I mean that's because the purpose behind what they're doing is completely different, right? My purpose is to have a mini that is as good as possible for competition, or just to have good as possible because I'm pushing myself. Games Workshop's purpose and store purpose is to get something that looks good and is but is achievable, right? It's achievable by the normal person, by the person who hasn't spent, you know, the last few years trying really hard to get good at this. So because the purpose is different, and both are legitimate. Both are legitimate. Does my happy birthday? Hey Kevin, I appreciate that. Does this still say? No, it doesn't say happy birthday, but I appreciate the belated birthday. Thank you. Thought maybe for a second YouTube said still said happy birthday. Same, I go with a super vague idea of what I want to do and just go at it until I like it. Yeah, exactly, Doctor. We have the same mental there. I'm so mad I never got this model. It's a good model. I don't think it's an unreasonable price on eBay, is it? Ancestor's Wrath. It's definitely more than it was at MSRP, but it's almost all of it's below 100, so it depends on how badly you want it. You're probably going to be shelling about $80 for it, which sucks. Maybe someday they'll have it on print on demand, or produce on demand. I just took an older piece and objectively looked at the piece that I haven't looked at since October and started adjusting the visuals. Sometimes it helps to walk away from the piece and come back to it with an objective view. Yes, absolutely. I think you're absolutely right. Okay. So we got, we're gonna take a break here in about a minute. Thank you, Tara. Yeah, we're gonna take a break here in about a minute, and then during that break, we're not gonna paint or anything. I am gonna get up, gonna hydrate or dihydrate. I recommend you guys stand up, walk around, get some water, use the bathroom, whatever you got to do. Got here just in time for ad break. Yeah, I got about 30 seconds. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, we'll take a break. I try to take a break every hour just so that I'm not sitting the entire time, and because I work from home too, so I'm sitting at the same computer for work as well, and it means it's a lot of time on my tuchus. So, all right, we're gonna take our break now. I am going to mute, and we'll be back in just a few minutes. Okay, we're back. Spinoza's Legacy, are you still here? Because you had a Necromunda question. Worst house, best house to be in Necromunda. Worst house as a dude, Escher. Best house, Orlok. Escher, because I'm a dude, which means that I would either be killed or horribly genetically flawed to the point of barely having any form of quality of life at all. In House Escher. Best chance for decent quality of life is probably Orlok, unless I was stuck in like the mines and couldn't move forward and move up the chain of command. Delac, I'm not sneaky or slender enough to fit into Delac. I'm not a total, like I'm not a absolute meathead, so Goliath is out. Van Sar, they're a little too techy. I don't think I have the networking chops, the IT chops to do that. Also, I don't like the idea of just constantly being irradiated by my own equipment to the point that I need constant medication. Let's see. Covered Escher, Goliath, Orlok, Delac, Van Sar. Oh, Cawdor? I don't know, man. I just don't see anything really interesting about being Cawdor. They're interesting in and of themselves, but there's nothing I'd want to be in there. There's nothing that I'd want to strive for in House Cawdor. Palanite Enforcers are basically just horribly corrupt police. Meatheads with no personality at all. So, like, wouldn't really be interested in doing that. Squats, I've got the build, but not the height. And I don't think I'm quite mercenary enough in terms of my mercantile dealings to be a squat. Ash Nomad, I don't do well in the heat. And I'm just not a big fan of bugs. So wouldn't be handling the ash waste, the bugs very well. Especially the fleas. The fleas are just creepy. Giant rideable sand fleas. No, I'm good. Spires, there's no chance of me being in a Spire family. If I had any chance of being born into a Spire family in Necromunda, I would have been born into a billionaire's family here on Earth. Like, with my luck, that's not happening. A semi-prosperous Orlok is probably my best goal. Oh, I forgot to take the cover back off of my camera. My bad. Thank you, Tara. Appreciate that. So Spinoza's Legacy, I don't know if you're still here or not, but that's my answer. So best it would be Orlok for me. Worst would be Escher. But that could be different for everybody. Beautiful work. Hey, thank you so much, Alphas. Appreciate that. There, the beard must be seen. Yes, yes, indeed. Must be have the beard visible. Let's see. So that's khaki. That's not the right color. I need khaki. I need pale yellow. There we go. Pale yellow, not khaki. Why do I have khaki out? Khaki's yellow green. I don't need yellow green. I need pale yellow. For the gold. Not khaki. Try and push some of these gold highlights up a little bit farther for the non-metallic metal. Feel like I need more contrast in a couple of these spots, and then we'll get to blending a little bit more. Anyways, how's it going? It's going well, Count Zacula. How are you doing? What colors are you using for gold? I want to see your recipe. I am using dark umber, yellow ochre, and pale yellow. Those are the colors that I'm using. And I'll mix them between each step just so that I can layer a little bit better and glaze a little bit easier. But those are the three colors that I use right now. You could add other colors in here if you want a little bit more orange or a little bit more richness to it. You could add some oranges, or you could add like a warm yellow, which has got a little bit of oranginess to it. You could absolutely add that too. And use that in some of the transitions. And if you're showing like gold reflecting back on itself, then yeah, that if I were to do like a bounce highlight here at the bottom of the cheek, which I'll probably do, that is going to be a more intense yellow gold, because from what I've been finding, and this could be wrong, but from what I've been observing, is when gold reflects upon itself, it intensifies and kind of goes more orangey. So I'll probably have some bounce lights in there that's a little bit more orangey than this sulfur yellow or this ochre color. Nice. Are the Leagues of Votan hard to paint? No, I don't think so. They tend to have a little bit more detail than like Space Marines do, especially if there's some of the larger models. But generally speaking, they're mostly made up of simple geometric shapes rather than complex curves. So things like their thigh armor and their shins, things like that. These are simple cylinders, so you kind of know how the highlight's gonna reflect off of them, as opposed to something like Eldar where it might curve out, then curve in, then curve back out. You've got those complex compound curves. That's a lot harder to paint, just because it's harder to know where the light's gonna go and how it takes a little bit more thought of how the light's gonna reflect off of that surface. But the Leagues of Votann models, while they have more details than most Space Marine models, they follow about the same kind of geometric shapes that the Space Marines do, and that's fairly straightforward. Now this guy I'm painting to a pretty high level because I'm painting it for Golden Demon, so very very few times would someone actually need to paint him up to this level for just a game. But my purpose is not for this guy is not a game, it's for competition. So the amount of effort I'm putting in is drastically different. Not bad, playing some Baldur's Gate 3, and then I'm going to make some more skin for the flayed ones. Getting better at it. Nice. I still need to play Baldur's Gate 3. I have yet to play that. I have it. I have yet to play it. Same thing with Space Marine 2. I have it. I have not played it. Mostly because the thought of how much time both of those games is going to require to go through is intimidating. It's like, oh, that's a lot of time. But I know they're both really good. Also why I never finished Skyrim, Oblivion, or Morrowind. It's so much time. Hey, Cookcrafter, how are you doing? Welcome on back. Appreciate you stopping by. Hope you're doing well. And thank you for sharing the mini you worked on the other day. Thank you to everybody who shared the minis you've been working on or your completed projects. We are looking for anybody to submit any updated photos or new photos of new projects for this Friday. When we go through our community spotlight, you can submit those pictures in our Discord, in the works in progress, completed projects channels. Either one of those, we'll take a look at them. If you're looking for any kind of feedback on Friday, please do explicitly request feedback. I do not get feedback without being explicitly asked for it. Just because I don't want people to feel like I don't want people to feel like they don't want to submit, what they're proud of, because they're not really looking for feedback. And that's fine. I don't do unsolicited feedback. But if you want to just show off what you've been doing, then yeah, throw it in there. If you're looking for just okay through the main story of the Space Marine 2, it's not going to suck up too much of your time. Okay. Good. Just got home from art class. The project is looking good. Thanks. How was art class? I hope you had a good time. Look 6. Hey, thank you, D6 Mafia. I appreciate that. Thank you. Was that Sunday? So I made progress on the red of the jacket and boots. That would have been last Friday. Yeah, last community spotlight was last Friday. Excuse me. It sounds like you've made some progress. Then. I didn't do much painting on Sunday, mostly because church and the Super Bowl and stuff like that. Hope everybody enjoyed the Super Bowl, which especially the Seahawks fans. Well done. Congratulations. I don't know which combat patrol to get. I think the Orcs and the Tau. I think that the Orcs and the Tau and Legions of Votan are all really good. Yeah, it really depends on. It really depends on which one you think aesthetically you like the look of the most, because you think about it, you're going to be spending hours painting those, even if you paint them to just like a basic level, which most people do when they're starting. That's totally normal, but you're still going to be spending hours assembling them and painting them, so they need to be models that you like the look of. But you should also think about, is this an army that you're going to enjoy playing? So do they fit into your play style? And I can't speak to play styles because I don't play 40k anymore. I just paint the models. So yeah. Or you could just buy all of them, like Detroit said. Yeah, you could just spend all of them. You could just get all of them. But if I were to choose, I would be grabbing Leagues of Votan, because I like the Leagues of Votan quite a bit. The Orcs would be fun, but I don't find the Orcs aesthetically that pleasing or that interesting. The Tau are okay. I don't find them to be aesthetically very appealing either. A few of them are pretty cool. Just like a few of the Orcs are pretty cool, but I don't feel the desire to paint either one of those. Leagues of Votan, I do feel like I want to paint those, so that's probably why I would choose the Leagues of Votan myself. But it really depends on you and your vibe, and then also your playstyle, because each one of those is going to have a very different playstyle. I have Death Guard, Custodes, and Orcs. My next army will be Votan or Necrons. All good armies. All very cool. Remember, rules are temporary, but models you'll have for a long time. That's very true. The rules, the play style probably won't change much, but it could. The next edition could completely change how your army is effective in play on the battlefield. So, the vibes and the aesthetics are going to be really important. Even if your army's rules change, the aesthetics won't much. So I know that probably wasn't super helpful, but I tend to err on the side of which one looks coolest. Okay, I'm going with that. Dinesh told me to pick an army based on models because I'd be staring at them for 100 hours while painting them all. Yeah. That's generally my advice as well. But I've also seen people spend a lot of time on an army because they really like the aesthetics, and then play the game. They realized, I hate the way this army plays. So it is something you should be aware of. Want to do Necrons that only have two colors, Mosu black and fluorescent green. Oh, that's going to be super contrasty. Mostly black, that's like the near, like, ultra black, isn't it? Like the really, really, really dark, like, light absorbing black. It's one of those, isn't it? Yeah, only problem I'd have with that personally is unless you're using that voltage green or whatever type of like neon green you're gonna go with, it's gonna be hard to really see the models unless you're using that voltage green to really outline everything. You're gonna lose everything except that voltage green, and it'd be cool for it's cool for an effect. I'm just not sure I'd enjoy what the army ends up looking at personally, but that's me. I like being able to see everything and defining everything. So it's one of the reasons why I like clean paint jobs instead of like grungy paint jobs, because clean paint jobs means I'm sitting there and I'm defining every shape, right? I'm working on making sure each shape is visibly seen, as opposed to, you know, kind of grungy and all blending together. So not all grungy paint jobs are like that, but I know mine would end up being that way. That's my vibe, right? That's just what I prefer. There's plenty of people like Count Zaku who do great grim gritty paint jobs. Does a great job with those. I was thinking of picking up some black 4.0, but I don't want to pay that much for paint. Yeah, black 4. It's 4.0 now? Jesus. Also, I'd have to use it to paint something I wouldn't play with because varnish would totally ruin the fact. Yeah, that's the thing. You wouldn't be able to do much with it. It'd be decent for like a competition piece or just a display piece, but yeah, all the black 4 points, 1 points, 2 points, 3 points, and even Vanta black, they're all very fragile, because the way they absorb that light is they create relatively large structures on the surface that scatter the light and cause the light to absorb and be bounced away from the viewer's eyes. So they're either absorbed into the complex microstructures that are on the surface created by the paint, or they're bounced in such a way that it doesn't bounce towards the viewer's eyes anymore. They bounce off to the side or something like that. And that's the only way that works. And as soon as you try to varnish that, as soon as you handle it much, all those microstructures are going to be either crumbled by handling, or they're going to be filled in by the varnish, and then they can't do their job anymore. So then it's no longer black. Just paint it purple. Purple means sneaky, right? Yeah, there you go. There you go. Your shadow's excellent. Thank you. Yeah, I work really... Muso was 44 to 200 for 200 milliliters. Wow. Actually, that's about 44 for 200 milliliters. Games Workshop's paints are 12 milliliters. 44... 22 times 12. That's still half as expensive as... Yeah, you're paying 22 cents a milliliter, and that's still half as expensive as Games Workshop paints. That's $2.64 for 12 milliliters, where Games Workshop usually charges between $5 and $5.50 for one pot of... So yeah, that Muso is still is half as expensive as Games Workshop, an equivalent amount of Games Workshop paint. In your opinion, what's the most visually appealing army? Ooh. In my opinion, what is the most visually appealing army? Oh, boy. That's an interesting question. There's a lot to be said for a lot of the armies. I think it's going to be either, for me, it's going to either be Space Marines in general, because they're large, uncomplicated, simple geometric shapes with... Aw, thank you, Fairbeard. Yeah, we're almost a month older than that. I should probably disable that. Or I'll just leave it there for the memes. But I very much appreciate that. Thank you so much. Space Marines, just because they've got big, large canvases to be able to do things like battle damage and freehand and things like that. If we're talking 40k, yeah, I'd probably say Space Marines, or the next one I think is the most visually interesting is probably the Necrons. Because I really like non-metallic metal, and just a whole army of just like chrome non-metallic metal would be really, really cool. Everything else, I don't think there's any army that is ugly. I don't think there's any army that's ugly. The least aesthetically appealing to me is probably the Orcs. Followed by Tyranids, I think. They still both look awesome. Don't get me wrong. Just the least visually appealing to me is the Orcs and the Tyranids. But yeah, the most visually aesthetically appealing to me, I think, is Space Marines. I want to say Chaos Space Marines as well. But there's multiple different versions of those. So probably Space Marines, Death Guard, and Necrons, I think. Your answer would be either Sororitas or Death Guard. Both good answers. Both good answers. What's the painting equivalent of pulling out all the crochet progress made in the past 3 hours? Dunking this into simple green to start over. That's probably what it is. Because that's basically what you're doing. You're starting over. What do I think about the Death Corps of Krieg? I think they're really cool. Aesthetically, they're really cool. Doctrinally, in terms of like the lore, they're absolutely fanatical and kind of badass in that way. But they're also so set in their way of trying to that they're trying to atone for something, that they're so locked into that as a culture now that they'll never stop. There's no redeeming them. There's no way for them to atone and become better members of the Imperium. They're just a bunch of clones bred to die, and they'll never stop being that. And I think that means that they were just
welcome to the Great Library.
What they used to be did in fact die. What they used to be before their betrayal, before all this happened, did in fact die. Their society did in fact die, because this isn't what it was. So I think they're sad, but they're also fascinating. That's how a lot of 40k lore is. It's sad, but it's also fascinating. Let's see. Hey man, how do you feel about Thousand Suns for First Army to paint? I think that would be fine. You're going to be painting a lot of filigree and a lot of detail. So there's going to be a lot of fiddly bits. Just focus on painting from the inside out, and paint that last filigree, or all the little details and stuff towards the end. And just be okay with, if you make a mistake, having to go back and repaint that with the layer before. Just keep that in mind. So keep all your paints out, keep all your colors out, and just realize that you're going to be going back and forth and neaten things up. And as frustrating as it may be, developing your muscle memory and your brush control is going to really help with that a lot, which means you need to be painting probably 30 minutes a day or 30 minutes every other day, because that's the best way to develop your muscle memory and your coordination. Just as if you play an instrument, you need to practice multiple times a week, because you're building up all the coordination of your fingers and with the instrument that you're playing. This is your instrument, and so this is a whole different set of muscle memory and a different set of coordination that you need to develop, and that means that's best developed painting multiple times a week for 15 to 30 minutes at minimum. You're going to grow a great deal more with your skill if you do that, rather than, painting for 8 hours on a Saturday. Oh my God! Hey, how are you doing? Oh my God! Love Votan models. I do too. They're pretty awesome. How are you doing, Goth? I hope you're doing well. Thank you for dropping by. You're not coming to Adepticon, are you, Goth? I don't know if you're still here or not, but that would be pretty cool. But it's also, might not be anything you're interested in doing. Awesome, looks great. Thank you so much. Let's see. Not a great highlights with the brush, so I use AK weathering pencils for now. Yeah, Detroit, that works. Absolutely. Yeah, throwing them in the isopropyl jacuzzi. Yeah, it's probably the reset. Sora does have a tank with a stained glass window. I want it just so I can cut out the panes and use resin to make it look like actual glass. Yeah, Tara, that would be awesome. Seeing how good that is painted make me hate myself. Looks good. Hey, no, Tiny, don't worry about that. This has got dozens of hours in it. Okay, this is dozens of hours, like literally, from last year and then also this year. So. And I'm painting it for a completely different reason. I'm painting this for Golden Demon. That's what I want to compete in Golden Demon with this again. So it's got a lot more. The purpose behind it is different. If you want to see like normal gaming painting, this is like a normal gaming painting, which is still nice. It's still good, but it's nowhere near like. These are not the same level of quality, right? Like, this is so much more defined, and there's just so much more work put into this than this. But this is what I typically paint a game with. Let's see. I made a mistake six rows ago, and I have to fix all my pieces together correctly. 6 rows ago is where I started today. Oh no! Do you paint the model disassembled or fully assembled? Mostly assembled, Nova. It's mostly assembled when I paint it. This model, the shield was off when I did the initial painting on this, and then when I decided to put him on the base when he was getting close to being done for last year, I attached the shield and then painted over the glue and everything. But everything else was mostly here because this is a fairly wide open stance. The only thing that's really blocking anything, me accessing anything, was the shield, which is why I kept it off. But then later, when it was time to like put it on and get it ready for Adepticon last year, I put the shield on. And now I can't take the shield off, so now I have to paint it with the shield on. I have to improve it with the shield on. So painting the models completely unassembled doesn't work with the way my brain works. There are people who do that, and there are people who it does work with, but it doesn't work with my brain. And that's okay. And that's okay. Yeah, looks like I missed Goth. My bad. Sorry, oh my Goth. Didn't mean to ignore you or anybody else. That's not my intention. There's just a lot going on. What's your favorite Space Marine chapter? Rainbow Warriors. Now, the Rainbow Warriors are not really acknowledged in the current lore, but they were one of the first Space Marine chapters that existed in the original Warhammer 40,000 back in 1987, 1989, something like that. And so they were one of the original OG chapters that once second edition came around, they weren't around, and some of the other chapters that were the original Rogue Trader weren't around anymore. But this is a Rainbow Warrior using the more modernized paint scheme. If we're talking about other paint schemes or other Space Marine chapters that are a little bit better known, then Ultramarines and Lamenters are my two favorite out of those. But the Rainbow Warriors have been mentioned here and there in some of the rule books. There's been like side mentions of them in things like the War of the Museum. They were like referred to visually, but not by name in War of the Museum. The eighth edition. Big Batty, hey, how are you doing? Good to see you. The 8th edition rulebook mentioned the Rainbow Warriors as, I believe, being part of a crusade, and all the Imperial maps show the Rainbow Warrior homeworld of Prism as record deleted. So we don't know what happened to them for certain, but they're still there somewhere. And I like them because of that. I like them because of the kind of the mystery around them. Of like, what happened to them? Because there's artwork of a proto Sister of Battle gunning one down in the original rulebook as well. Now her name was Sister Sin, so I don't know how much of an actual Sister of Battle she could have been. And at that point in the lore, in the development of 40k, Sisters of Battle didn't even exist, so they weren't a thing. So she's kind of a proto Sister of Battle, but with the name Sister Sin, we're not sure what she is or who she is. But there is some art of a Rainbow Warrior being gunned down by Sister Sin. And there's some real life elements to it, because the Rainbow Warrior was the name of a Greenpeace ship that was torpedoed by the French government back in the 80s, I believe it was. And so it was most likely a tribute to them, and that art piece of Sister Sin with the fleur-de-lis on her habit gunning down a Rainbow Warrior named Brother Vermilion was probably a commentary, or at least, you know, some form of commentary on the French government torpedoing a peaceful ship. So it was most likely a protest piece, which I also like it because of that. In fact, one of the Golden Demon ideas that I want to do one of these years is a Rainbow Warrior Blade Guard veteran standing above a demonic Sister Sin who he has slain in combat. And it's just called, you know, Vengeance for Brother Vermilion. I'll have her laid out, cut open, but she's obviously demonic, right? So she's like some form of demonette or something like that. And it's just, you know, finally Brother Vermilion has been avenged. Real world lore drop, yeah, real world lore drop indeed. Aren't the Lamenters the chapter with bad luck, supernatural bad? Yeah, Nova, they are horrifically bad, real bad luck. But they, even with that bad luck, they are next. I would say next to the Salamanders, the Lamenters are the Space Marines that care the most about protecting humanity. Which, you gotta love them for that, even though they are still, you know, authoritarian mindless child soldiers, just like every Space Marine is. But they actually care about and will sacrifice themselves for humanity. Whereas many other Space Marine chapters will do so for the idea of humanity as represented by the Imperium, but they won't actually sacrifice themselves or care about actual everyday humans. So just like the salamanders care about actual everyday humans, and the spears of the Emperor are another chapter that cares about everyday humans. The Lamenters will sacrifice and sacrifice themselves for everyday humans. So there's a lot to be liked about them as well. Do they have any rules on the tabletop that involve their bad luck? No, that you just paint your guys that way. There's no actual rules for them. If it wasn't for bad luck, they'd have no luck at all. That's very true. That's very true, Dig Batty. Now, if you wanted to, and as long as the people you're playing with would be okay with it, you could come up with some house rules for a Lamenter's army and say, okay, here's the house rules, here's how bad luck affects them. You could do that, but there's no official rules for the Lamenters other than just they're a Blood Angels. They're a Blood Angels successor chapter, even though they're out of the Cursed Founding. So you just use Blood Angels rules for them, unless they've changed that and added in additional rules for it. I don't play the game anymore, so I don't know what the current rules are. Malev, hey, how are you doing, buddy? Dang, whoever painted this is really good at painting. Yeah, I'm really, really lucky that whoever painted this decided that it would be okay for me to hold on to this. I have been shaking this entire time. I'm very nervous about dropping it and then getting that person very angry at me. We'll see. We'll see. Hopefully I don't ruin it. They've put a lot of trust in me, and I think that's probably a mistake. How are you doing, buddy? I'm sorry I haven't reached out with my questions on game design. I still want to do that, but I've just kind of gotten really distracted. They've trusted you for the past several hours. I'm sure it'll turn out. I could never be angry at you. Well, I very much appreciate Tara. So now that Tara is revealed it, Tara's the one who's actually painted this. This is actually Tara's model, and I'm just sitting here like faking that I'm painting. This is actually Tara's thing, and I'm just using AI to make it look like I'm painting it. I'm not actually painting it. I gotta go see it. Looks great. Thanks, Nova. I appreciate that. Oh, Delulu. Collective Delulu. Yeah, Collective Delulu is the best Delulu. Did I show you? I don't think I did. I don't believe it. If you're an AI, why are your hands normal looking? No. My hands are real. It's just AI is making alterations to the actual image. Because my hands are real. We worked around that. So my hands are real, and I'm actually like doing this, but I'm just using water, and the AI is what's filling in. It's just brightening things up here and there. But in all seriousness, this looks awesome. Good work. Thank you so much. I very much appreciate that. I'm pretty proud of him. Hopefully I get, I'm honestly just trying to incorporate a lot of the feedback that I got from last year, from people at Adepticon, and hopefully I get a notable pin again, and then I could take it around and say, okay, now what do I need to work on? That's my goal. My goal is mostly to get more in-person feedback from people and maintain the same notable pin. I don't think it'll go beyond that. it would be cool if it did, but I don't think it'll go beyond that. It's mostly just me trying to up my game in the slow, plodding manner that I do. But I very much appreciate that. I'm not trying to minimize this at all. I very much appreciate the compliment, Malev, from someone like you, people like you, and people like Pikmin and other people who I know are incredible painters. I very much appreciate it. I look up to you guys a lot. I don't believe it. If you're to believe I could paint that well would land me in the loony bin. Nah. See, I just don't know what is real and what's AI anymore. AI psychosis. Yeah, gotta be careful. Gotta be careful. AI psychosis is a real thing. My hands are real. Sounds like something a guy with fake, not real hands would say. Hey, hey. I'm gonna need your exact location. And then once you give me that exact location, I'm going to need you to start filling out the following 56 CAPTCHAs so that I can make sure that you're not AI and so that you don't leave where you are right now for no particular reason. Also, can you fill out these 25 different personality tests? And about your mother's maiden last name and your favorite pet's name, just all to make sure that you're a real person, you know. I'm not so crazy. I'm not gonna pull a Discord and ask you to upload your ID, but if you want. My wife is a telehealth therapist. She talks about AI psychosis a lot. She went to a seminar last year on it, and it's very scary how that manifests in someone's life. I don't know a whole lot about it, but I hear that it's pretty crazy. And I mean that in the non-ironic sense. I don't know how it manifests or how it gets started other than people start feeding into what the AI is telling them and they stop like being able to discern between what the AI is saying and reality. That's all I got, and I don't even know if that's terribly accurate, which is crazy, very strange sounding. Well, ChatGPT says what you just said is a lie, so I can't trust anything you're saying. That's what it sounds like to me, and that's very disturbing. I can't tell if I'm about to fill out a job application, try to access my email, or get my identity stolen. Well, that's part of the adventure. That's part of the adventure. Tricks, bro. Bruh. What's up? I've dealt with someone like that at my job before, and I wanted to punch them. Yeah. They're there's gonna be a very thin line between whether or not they're punchable or whether or not they're just genuinely mentally ill. So, as frustrating as it might be, I'm not sure I could condone punching them, but I totally get you. It's like I don't know if you should be out and about in public. That person, not you. You're fine. But the person who's like going through that is like, I don't know if you should be out. Yeah. They came to me for help with their PC, asked a question, I told them what the issue was, and they told me I was wrong because ChatGPT said something to... Yeah, that's not fun. It's like, cool. Have, just like you said, have ChatGPT fix it. People are concerning. People are concerning. To all of the above, I have one job trying to convince me to interview with a company that only has social media posts about hiring, no website, no contact info, no other posts. They can't understand why I won't talk to them. Yeah, no. Absolutely not. No, 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 no. How come we got all of the lame parts of a cyberpunk dystopian and none of the cool parts, right? Like, I feel like I could cope with all this better if I had robot laser arms. That's fair. Just give me eyes that can zoom in on menus and road signs, right? Absolutely. That would be so much better. It'd be so much better if I could zoom in and actually see the stuff from far away rather than having to, you know, wait for it to get close up and shit. Although, if we had brain dances, we would have so many more problems. Oh my god. You think gooners are crazy now, man? Can you imagine the gooning possibilities with like brain dances and stuff? It'd be awful. It would just be like the worst. And I'm not being sarcastic. It would be like genuinely awful. Could you imagine having eyes that could zoom in incredible detail while painting? Oh, that would be amazing. An ad break is starting. Yeah, ad break. Oops. I'm gonna snooze this real quick. Snoozing the ad break. Beautiful. I've thought about getting a Votan kill team. Are they fun to paint? Yeah. WTF? They're a lot of fun. Now I'm painting this to a very high level for Golden Demon, but the Votan they're a lot of fun to paint. Just make sure you're going to enjoy their play style. I painted up a whole Votan kill team and tried playing kill team, and I realized I didn't enjoy kill team, so that was fun. Speaking of, I saw a Gunner Titan model the other day, and I was like, what are we even doing? Yeah. I was watching Burke Black the other day playing some, I think it was Space Marine 2, or no, he was just talking about stuff, and somebody printed him out a Thictor, which is a lictor with giant thighs. It was pretty good. It was pretty awesome. .3D printing is has enabled a lot of stuff. Let's see. I think I may need to work in some yellows into some of this highlight here. because I'm using yellow for the highlight up here, and I think I want some more color in here, and that's gonna tie this in a little bit more, because I don't have a whole lot that like establishes this as being reflective. Like I don't think any of the very little of this blue is going to show up in the edges. I can work some into these edges, but I'm trying to work in more environmental colors in here. I've already got some down here, but I don't want like I've got some oranges from the ground down here. I need to work out where else some of these reflections are going to be from, just to give it more life. Oh, I've 3D printed some questionable things. Yeah, I mean, as one does. As one does. Weirdo. I'm kidding. Don't get me wrong, it can be fun to paint a thicker model, but it had better reasonable proportions, even if stylized. Yeah, this wasn't terribly out of proportion. I mean, compared to some of the stuff that I've seen. But it was definitely on the slightly exaggerated side. And I will admit that I typed in the chat, I can fix her. I am not ashamed, but I'm also not proud of typing that in. But it did get a good laugh. I'm just being honest. I did full transparency. I did say I can fix her. So do with that what you will. Okay, hang on, because they might be cooking with a thick torch. Yeah. I have a couple of the Kingdom Death pinup models. Now, they're not the really crazy fantasy ones. They're more the sci-fi that are a little bit more reasonably clothed. But I do have a couple of those that I want to paint at some point. Painting really like exaggerated, not quite lewd models is a little outside of my normal comfort zone, and normally outside of like the kind of the vibe that I want to have for my channel and me as an artist. But I do have a couple, and I made sure that they were a little bit more tastefully dressed. But the models look really cool. Oh boy. What else do we need to work on? Everything. We need to work on everything. Everything needs to be worked on. Nothing is close. Nothing is to where it should be for this. And that's not quite true. A lot of this is around where it could be. But also, I'm getting into that point of like, oh god, there's just so much to refine. I'm losing the steam. I was mentioning before how painting for competitions can be an absolute like snooze fest, but also just an endurance thing. Like, I just have to keep going. I just have to keep going. I'm getting into that. I'm getting into that point right now of like, oh good lord. I just have to keep going. If I don't keep going, then it'll never get close to being done, and I'll be disappointed when I turn it in, because it's not as good as it could have been. So I need to keep going. I have to keep going. Did I disappoint everybody and kill the chat by saying I can fix her? I guess I killed the chat when I said that. Okay. I regret my statement. Because it's gone completely silent since I said that. So that's my bad. That's my bad. Hey, Everglades, how are you doing? Chat broken. Yeah, chat broken by admission of I can fix her about a lictor. A Thictor, my bad. Yeah, no worries. I'm fooling. No, my hands are just full redoing all of my progress from today. Yeah, no. I'm totally understand. I wasn't being too serious. I was not trying to be overly serious there. It just happened that a whole bunch of stuff all happened at once during my my admission. And my captain came to say hi, and she gets mad at me if I touch my phone while she wants to do. Yo, I totally understand. My cat does the same thing. Like, I'll be petting her, and if I stop and she's not done, she'll nip me. She'll nip at my fingers and my knuckles and say, nope, don't you stop, we're not done. So I totally understand. Any of this pigment here? Okay, I'm snoozing the ad one last time. You're alive? Good. I'm glad. I'm glad you're alive. Being alive is better than not. You know, Thictor is actually kind of cool looking. Unnecessarily thick, but still looks good. Yeah, I thought it wasn't too terribly overdone. Just a little bit. I've seen some horrifically overdone models. Similar, and that's just like, yeah, that's a little much. But that one wasn't too bad. I don't want to paint one. Yeah, you should print it out and do so. You can put it in the community showcase. All right, we're gonna go ahead and take a break. Let's sit this here, and we're gonna take a three to 5 minute break. I'm gonna hydrate. Yeah, hydrate, use the bathroom, all that fun stuff. I encourage you to do the same. Hydrate, walk around a little bit, use the bathroom. You know, it's not good to sit on your tuchus for too terribly long. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll be back here in just a couple of minutes. So enjoy the model. I'm gonna leave this camera on, and we'll be right back. Okay, we're back. So what's everybody up to tonight? It's only Tuesday. It's the end of the worst day of the week. What are y'all up to? Rip. Just lost a Gunpla part. Oh no! I'm sure you'll find it. Probably flew off into the nether. That happens. Or you won't find it, and then 3 months from now you'll find it. It'll have migrated behind a bookshelf or something. Somehow, magically. I just picked up the brown stuff recently. Mixing it with the green stuff makes green stuff infinitely more pleasant to work with. Oh, good. Does it make it less sticky, or what's it doing? Because I've mixed green stuff with milliput, and that extended the working time of the green stuff quite a bit. Also made it somewhat less sticky, which was nice. But also made it a lot more sandable once it cured because the milliput was there. So what's it do with, what's the green stuff or the brown stuff do? Less sticky is the big one. Yeah, it also makes it dry harder, but mixing the two issues is not very brittle like straight brown stuff would be. And mixing it with 50-50 would describe it as tacky rather than sticky. Nice. Okay. Yeah, it's very similar to. It seems very similar to what happens with Milliput. Cool. So Milliput's really good for like sharp surfaces. It's not terribly great for organic shapes like soft curves, things like that, but green stuff helps it because green stuff's really good for organic curves and soft shapes, things like that, because it's got some plasticity to it, so it just kind of relaxes a little bit and takes on those relaxed shapes a little bit better. But green stuff's really not great for hard surfaces, sharp edges, things like that, again because it's plasticity, but mixing the two helps it quite a bit. So it sounds like brown stuff's very similar. That's good. Works well. Good. Yeah, it makes sense. So I'm just trying to add little hints of blue here into the areas of the hammer that's closest to the armor. You really can't see much. Twitch app is having some issues, so I'm going to say good night. All right, Tara, thank you so much for hanging out. Have a good night. The Rust Infantry box from Victrix for the Wolf Scouts Kit Bash, that would be cool. But that is, yeah, hopefully that'll work for you. It looked like you could paint at super speed. Yeah, the AI messed up there a little bit. It definitely had me moving a little faster than I normally can. So, oh well. No, have a wonderful rest of your night. Sleep well. Say hi to Sinesh and the kids. We'll see you later. What's up, brother? Amazing work. I aspire to be this good one day. Hey, thank you, Han Solo. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. It's just a lot of practice and a lot of work, talking to other people of like, okay, what do I need to do to up my skills? So it's a lot of painting other things and looking at what can be better, and then trying to build on top of that each time. So it's a lot of work, but it is very satisfying. So I hope you also find something, a painting project that you will enjoy putting this much time into. I'm all ears to learn. Yeah. So I think the biggest thing that's made this look the best is pushing the highlights really bright and pushing the shadows pretty dark. So a lot farther than we normally would for like a gaming model. Because this is for a competition, so it's the quality level has to go up, which means that you need more. It needs to be more dynamic looking. So pushing the highlights much brighter, pushing the shadows much darker, respecting the volumes, like the actual like the shapes of the pieces. Like here we got these armor panels here. They're partial cylinders, so keeping the highlight like in line with what it would do on a cylinder. But then also, I think the biggest thing that I didn't do last year that has made a big difference this year is dark lining. I made sure to add dark lines in between the different details so that the details would stand out from one another visually on their own, and that really has helped everything look more complete, more finished. Does that make sense? I wish I had a good photo of what this looked like before. I do somewhere. Here. God. Ooh. Figuratively speaking, Minis is joining the ranks of the hobby heroes as part of the factory team for Army Painter. Well done, Courtney. Very nice. Sorry, I just saw that on my Instagram pop up. Completely unrelated. Do I have more in progress photos? Okay, not on my Instagram. I should have them. Have any here? Okay. Practicing wet blending? Oh, that's a great skill to work on. Yeah, I'm way more into the painting aspect than the gaming part. I haven't played it yet. Yeah, no worries. I am also much more into the painting aspect. Welcome to the Great Library. So here is a photo of this is the mini as it was when I submitted it after Golden Demon last year. So you can see that I had, the same colors, the same general layout, right? But if you look at this compared to what we can see now, the highlights are much darker in this. It's even on the hammer, the highlights are darker. On the armor panels, the highlights are darker. There's just not as much contrast, and you can see that around a lot of these details there's not a huge amount of visual separation between them, right? But if we look at this now, you can see there's quite a bit of difference. So I've pushed the highlights farther, made them brighter. Yeah, and I've done that dark lining around those details, and it just like you said, it's added a lot more depth to the paint job, and that added depth didn't require a whole repaint I didn't have to redo everything. I just had to push things a little farther and add that dark lining, and boom, we've got a lot more depth and a lot more complexity. I've also went in and I started adding oranges and browns into the reflection points on things that are low down and pointed farther down at the bottom of the mini. You can't really see it too terribly well here. There you go. You can see some browns there. But this is to reflect the to add more color in. It's the reflection of the ground, right? And we did the same over here and on the inside over here. Once I get this a little right here on the shield, got a little bit more brown and orange there, just to show a little bit of that light from the ground bouncing up. And I didn't want to do it up here because it's too bright. That'd be too bright. And then, of course, I've repainted the helmet. I've done the helmet in black again. I wanted to redo that non-metallic metal, so that needs to be redone. The horns, we're going to do these as natural-looking horns because doing these as non-metallic metal was just horrifically complicated, and I didn't want to deal with that anymore. So there's some of the stuff that was
A member has applied for a library card.
We got a new supporter. Mertim, thank you so much for the Prime. We'll get you your library card here in just a second. So I've missed a couple things. Good, Two Chicks, good morning. Long time no see. I have to report that I think I made a big financial mistake. I do feel pain, yes, but I do regret. Do I regret it? Never. Oh, how much Machine and Krieger did you buy? How many Machine and Krieger pieces did you buy? So when you do all this, how do you organize or have your paints on your palette? I'm intimidated by non-metallic metal. No, that totally understandable. Totally understandable. It took me about a year to really get locked into non-metallic metal in general. So this is from a couple different minis. This is from last stream and this stream, but this is kind of how I have my paints. I'm someone who uses a lot of layers and a lot of glazing, so I don't do a lot of actual physical mixing of the paints. So for in this case, the armor, I've got my first shadow here, and I do have a darker shadow, but I don't have it out here because I wasn't painting with that. And then I've got my mid-tone, then I've got my first highlight, and then I've got light yellow over here, pale yellow that I was mixing in up here to make that brighter highlight. So this is just what my palette looks like right now. But again, I don't do a lot of physical mixing of colors on the palette. I do lots of layering and glazing, so I don't have a huge amount of mixing on the palette at the moment. Now, as far as non-metallic metal goes, I totally understand that. The keys for non-metallic metal is bright shadows, dark highlights, fast transitions from one color from one to the other. So this dwarf took a little while, but it's got 3 different types of non-metallic metal on it: gold, brass, and steel. But you can see that we've got really dark, and then it goes into a mid-tone, and then it very rapidly goes into a very bright highlight. Same thing up here. And this is the kind of the key for the optical illusion that is non-metallic metal. Dark shadows, bright highlights, and then fast mid-tone. And this is just tabletop non-metallic metal. You could do more subtle non-metallic metal where maybe there's not as much of a swing between the mid-tone and the shadow and things like that. Maybe you've got additional highlights and things like that, but this is just how I started. And this is probably after about a year of doing it and just having fun with it. But I did challenge myself to paint an entire project in nothing but non-metallic metals. And that's really the only reason I was able to get around to it, is forcing myself to do it. And then, you know, talking to people and getting feedback of like, does this look metallic? And they said, no, it doesn't really look metallic. You need a little bit more here, a little bit less there. And then I'd ask them like, well, why? Why do I need that? And then finally, that's what clicked in my head, is the why, as opposed to just do this. Two Chicks, you didn't buy any machining Krieger, you bought yourself a Titan. Nice. Which Titan? Which Titan did you invest in? And Mr. Tim, thank you again for your subscription. Let's get you your library card here. So for those of you who don't know, this is the Great Library of Magic that I'm in charge of. Oh no. There we go. And if you are over on one of the broadcasts and you subscribe, you get a library card. This is that library card. Then you get your username put down here so that everybody knows that this is your library card. And Mr. Tim, here are the terms of your library card. The bearer of this card is granted permission to remove materials from the Great Library for a period of no longer than 30 days. A penalty of 1 sip of paint water will be assigned to the bearer for each piece of material that is outside of the Great Library every day beyond 30 days. The bearer assumes all responsibility for any material damage to, magical damage, or mishaps associated with, and possessions or exorcisms through checked out materials. So now that you know what the terms are, Mr. Tim, let's get your library card all filled out here. Make sure I've got the right number of M's, because there's a lot of M's in Mr. Tim. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There we go. Mr. Tim. Mr. Tim. Alright, well, we're going to let that dry, because that ink was a little watery. So to avoid blotchiness, we're going to let that dry. I'm going to reseal my ink pot here. Yeah, $700. It's a lot. It's a lot though. It's 5 Mac. Yeah. It's I mean that's a lot. Which Titan was it? I don't think I saw your answer. All right, so that is dried. Now let's get you your stamp, Mr. Tim, for your first month. Boom. There, look at that. Beautiful, beautiful. Look at that. Very first month stamp. It's absolutely gorgeous. If anybody can't see anything, that's okay. Only wizards can see these. These are magical stamps. So for right now, you might not be able to see anything. But if you hang out long enough, you don't have to spend any money. You just spend time. You just hang out. It'll fade in. You'll see it. You'll absorb enough magical knowledge that you'll be able to see it eventually. But I assure you that the embossing is immaculate once again, and the colors are wonderfully vivacious and vivid. So there you go. And Mr. Tim, if you check in your chat history now, you will see that you have your very own wizard's hat. Please wear and use that responsibly, since you are now representing wizards everywhere. But once again, thank you for the support. Appreciate that. An Alcatrine stamp, maybe. All right. Let's see. Why is this ochre not laying down the way I want it to? There we go. It's a little bit better, but it's still laid down a little too thick up at the top. And feather that out a bit. There we go. Tree Rat. Hey, Tree Rat. How are you doing, man? I was unaware of your game. Oh, thank you. There's a lot more time put into this one than stuff I do for tabletop. How are you doing? I love your videos, by the way. This is more what I do for tabletop, or for my tabletop. But I think your videos are fantastic. Your sense of humor is hysterical. Like, it's just so dry and sarcastic. I very much enjoy that. But appreciate you dropping by. Hope you're doing well. You need to hear that? Good. I think your videos are awesome. Yeah, I just don't have that kind of quick, biting humor. Not in a way that I can script. I do have biting humor in the moment, but not that I can script. So I am very envious of your script writing abilities and and your videos. I mean, the techniques you show, really solid, really, really good. So definitely enjoy your stuff. Yeah, this is all we're working on at the moment. Just trying to get this ready for Adepticon, for a Golden Demon. Trying to improve this from last year. I submitted this last year and got a notable pin, which was great. It means it was going in the right direction. But now I'm, taking some of the feedback that I got from other painters there and pushing it farther. And it's gone a lot farther for me. So hopefully I get the pin again, and maybe I'll do a little bit better. Lighting's incredible. Thank you very much. That was something we were pushing quite a bit. I didn't want the army to look like glossy necessarily, but I did want it to have really strong highlights. The best
is never late. Nor is he early. He arrives
precisely what it means too. Ghoul Studio, thank you so much for that raid. How are you doing? Welcome on in. Give me just a second. Right, sister, how are you doing? Tree Rat Tabletop. I think the best feedback I got is dark lining. There wasn't enough contrast between the details. So on previous iterations of the model, dark lines between some of these details didn't exist, so they kind of visually blended together. There just wasn't enough visual separation, even with a brighter highlight and even with a darker shadow. Unless I did like a really dark line on a lot of these, they just weren't very visually distinct. So that was something I worked on this quite a bit, is trying to get actually doing really thin lines of an almost black around a lot of these details to get them to visually separate from each other. And in addition to that, I pushed the shadows darker, and I pushed the highlights like a whole value level higher. Welcome on in, Ghoul Studio. How are you doing? Allison Silverhair, how are you? Good to see you. Thank you all so much for the raid. I hope you're doing well. How is the stream, Ghoul? How'd it go? What'd you work on? What'd you do? You can see what we've been working on all day. All stream. Trying to get this closer to being to the point where I feel like I've improved it enough to be done with it until Adepticon. I've got other things I want to paint too, for origins and the like. I got black. Where's that black come from? Oh no. Alright, I'm gonna have to re-highlight that. The way you're breaking it up with higher value shadows is so smart. It keeps another level of contrast. Thank you. Yeah, that was a huge part of the feedback that I got, and it's really helped it. This is what it looked like. Let me show you. This is what it looked like at post Adepticon. I can't do joining as guests at the moment. I don't typically do that, but I appreciate it. Sorry. But this is what it looked like post Adepticon. You can see that the highlights are not as strong. The dark lining's not as strong. Everything else, I didn't have to repaint everything, but you can see that there's definitely a difference in the level of contrast between that and this. No, I totally understand, Tree Rat. I just don't do, unless I'm set up to do like multi-guest stuff. I don't typically do that because I just don't. I don't at the moment. I've joined other people's stuff, and I might do streams where it's intentionally for other people to join, but I don't right now. So I totally understand. I apologize for any confusion I might have caused. Definitely not my intention. Doing fantastic. Great to see you as well. Stream was great. Working on lots of non-metallic metal for the Golden Demon entry. Yep, I totally understand that. I appreciate that, Tree Rat. I appreciate that. Yeah, totally understand the amount of gold non-metallic metal. I don't know if you saw the photo that I just showed up from last year, but all these antlers were supposed to be gold non-metallic metal in that, and there's so many compound curves. I think that's the right term for it. That I'm just like, yeah, I'm just gonna do these as natural. So I'm gonna repaint these as natural horns, and then leave this as non-metallic metal. I need to refine that. I wish I could have done that on my last model with your midtones. Didn't, and it has that blasted. I got you. Blasted out airbrush look. I got you. Oh, dude, it was so bad. The antler it was so bad because I was like, okay, I know what this is. That's a cone, and then this curves in here, and then what is this? What is this Y? Like that's the part of that is the inside of a cylinder, but it's also rounded outwards, so it's a cylinder. What shape of light does that make? Like that was. And it ended up just looking this mess. I gave it my level best. It just ended up looking like a mess. So we're just going to do natural here. Yeah, that blasted out airbrush, Brooke. We were talking about that before. How airbrush, like heavily airbrushed models, end up looking really flat, and I think that's exactly what you're talking about. There's that super flat airbrush look, and it can be hard to recover from. Especially when you realize that it's happening so late. That's not too far off of what I'm working on now. Yeah, no, I remember seeing that saddle you were working on. I was just like, best of luck, Ghoul. You're better at this than I am. Like, I'm gonna look at that at Adepticon and just like, you're a god. I'm just gonna look at that as like, that's amazing. And hopefully I can glean some knowledge on those compound curves. But yeah, I was like, if it was because it's a saddle, it's a little bit bigger, so maybe the compound curves are a little bit easier to deal with. These tiny little antlers, yeah, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. There's no space on them. It's the random doodads where I paint my worst. Yeah, it's so hard to give those the attention they deserve a lot of the times. Or enough attention to like, yes, this is not a, this makes sense. Because when you get into those tiny little details, those tiny little, tiny details, I'm so mentally exhausted by then that I'm just like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just gonna put some color on here, and then they just end up just looking like blobs, and then I hate myself. Like, I could have done better. I should have done better. But I was tired. And I was grumpy. And I was hangry. I don't wanna. That's another thing we were talking about. Miss Brian, gonna try and paint my new project with that in mind. Awesome. Well, I hope that you swing by, or I hope that you let me know how that's going, and then maybe you post a video or something so I can see how that's going. But whatever. And if you're at Adepticon, we definitely need to hang out. We definitely need to at least say hi. I'm trying to meet as many people as I can. When you see my mangler squids, it'll be them. Okay, awesome. Thanks again for the convo. You're very clever in your approach and love the results. Thank you so much. It's a lot of stealing from other people. I am not an artistic person inherently. It's a lot of stealing from other people, but I very much appreciate it. Art is steal, baby. Yeah, exactly. 100%. The greatest form of flattery is theft, right? Yeah, the bit bigger definitely helps. Yeah, that looks nice. Hey, thank you, Spotty Shark. I appreciate that. I hope you're doing well. Okay. Yeah, I'm so excited to see people from TikTok and Twitch and all over the place at Adepticon again. That's one of the things I look forward to the most, is being able to see people that I've only seen online, be able to see them at Adepticon or Origins or what have you. It's a great feeling to be able to see people's like, hey, hello person I've only known on the internet. I am also someone we have only known on the internet. I hope I hope I'm not so much weirder in person than I am on the internet, but I probably am. I hope you'll put up with me. And so far, so good. You want to know my favorite part of Adepticon? Honestly, my favorite part is the late night wandering around the Golden Demon booths, just listening and talking to people about the different pieces, and then just late night conversations around the hobby area and painting and just chilling. It's not even the events, it's not even the vendors, although all of those are awesome. It is the late night just relaxing and talking and getting to know people, and I love that part. Which is weird because if you know me in real life, I'm a goblin. Like, I'm pretty good with people. I have good soft skills. But if I were given my druthers, I'd rather not talk to anybody and just be alone in person. But when I'm at Adepticon or other places like that, I come out of my shell a lot more. And obviously when I'm streaming or doing other stuff like that, that's because I'm being intentional about being outgoing and all that fun stuff. But if it's just me by myself, I'm a frickin' goblin, man. I'm just like, yes, I'm gonna sit here by myself on my computer or reading my books by myself, and no one better come talk to me. I am in my happy place. Hey, Ryan, you want to go out to the bar? Hell no. I'm reading a book. What do you mean, go out and be social? That's disgusting. I'm not being entirely serious, but I don't know if any of you could hear that, because apparently I bumped the microphone a lot farther past me than I meant. I think maybe I was talking a little too much for Tree Rat Tabletop. I think I might have talked a little too much. But I was excited. I like his videos. He's very sarcastic and he's very good at painting. I enjoy his humor quite a bit, and I was very happy that he was here. So I ended up talking a little too much. But that happens. How's everybody doing? I think I killed the chat again. But that happens. Everybody's tired. It's late at night. Everybody's busy. Two Shicks, are you still here? Did you tell me what type of Titan it was? I know it was a $700 Titan, but was that just is that the whole thing, or was that also like the arms and stuff? I think I probably missed when you said what it was. Okay, so last year, the helmet, the Doom, was not painted in accordance with the rest of the highlights here, because here with all these highlights, it's one light from above and bouncing. It should be coming in right down here, or at best two. Like it should just be one, but maybe two because of the shadow here. But I had highlight to either side, which doesn't make sense with the light. So we're gonna repaint this. When we repaint this, it's gonna be one down the middle. Now the question is, I can confirm I have been killed. Luckily, I got zombified first. Oh, thank God. I was very concerned about that. I was very worried about that. So the question is, should I go with like a steel helmet? Like a steel dome or a gold dome? Gold would fit with all the other colors here, right? It would fit in here, and it would allow these golds to kind of draw the eye down into the middle here. Although I'm worried that the gold top up here would distract from it. Because all of this gold here, this would all lead the eye up to this, and it would stop here. But then I'm worried that like further gold up here would draw the eye farther up. So I think keeping this very, very like mild and not too bright, but make this much brighter gold, I think that would work the best. And then of course there's going to be like green reflections in here to show the light bouncing off of the or the light from the armor. So we'll have other reflections there, bounce lights, things like that. I think doing this as gold will work the best. I think. Thoughts? You think gold would be a little too distracting as the helmet? Or I think it would fit in, but it might blend in a little much. I don't know. I don't know. It looks kind of like a little pig snout. Oink oink. Maybe I'll make this pink. I'm kidding. I'm not going to do that. Head empty, no thoughts. Totally understand. Totally get it. It's okay. It's okay. I do think this bounce light really worked. I do think that works quite a bit. I'm very happy with that. I think that helps it look far more metallic. It's having that extra little bounce light there. Yeah. Now, one thing I know I'm seeing is the definition in the eye on one side is nowhere near as dark as it is on the other. I need to define that a little bit more. One eye is much brighter than the other. It's a little bit better. Okay. I think we're done. I am also getting head empty, no thoughts status in my head. So we're going to go ahead and stop. It's after 9. It's typically when we stop. At 9 o'clock. So let's go find someone to pass on the hobby love to. Let's go to Bernsey. We collaborate and listen. Yes, indeed. I appreciate everyone for collaborating and listening. Oh, Burnsy's got some non-metallic metal black going on. That's looking smexy. Very nice, Burnsy. All right, we're going to go right over to Inquisitor Burnsy. Fantastic painter. Known him for a little while here. Also from the Pacific Northwest, so obviously he's a cool person. Thank you so much for being here tonight. I very much appreciate it. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. We should be back on Friday where we're going to do more painting on this, but also community highlight, community spotlight. So if you want to show off what you've been working on since last Friday, go head over to the Discord if you want to, and put your works in progress in the works in progress channel, or your completed projects in the completed channel. I'd love to take a look at them. If you want any feedback, do say that in your post. I'm not going to give feedback otherwise. I don't give unsolicited feedback because I want you to just be able to show stuff off. I want you to just feel confident in showing things off without worrying about being told you're not wet blending properly, blah, 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 blah. But thank you all for being here tonight. I very much appreciate it. We will see you on Friday. And between now and then, remember that painting is good for the soul. Have a good night, everybody.